So, everyone, we are recording this. I
This
don't
is
know
the
why I
most
made it.
dramatic intro ever.
I feel like Chris Harrison on The Bachelor right now. This is
Honestly,
the
that's what
final
it sounded
rose.
like.
Hey, that's not what's happening. This is the beginning of a Girls on Film episode, and I'm Addy.
And I'm Hannah.
Why I'm so excited is we just finished the interview you are about to hear with Jesse James Keitel from ABC's Big Sky, and I'm fucking screaming. Like,
We internally, externally, before I hit record, I literally was like, ah!
I'm ready to go run around my house. Like, I do still live with my parents because I'm looking for a job right now. I'm about to run upstairs and tell my mom and dad how excited I am about what just happened. They were
Also,
a
I told Summer
joy.
last night, I was like, I'm gonna be running on adrenaline for like 4 days after this.
Oh yeah, like my freaking generalized anxiety disorder will keep me alive for the next 4 days. I will not need coffee. So we came up with questions. We talked to them about their experience on Big Sky, their role of Jerry Kennedy on that show, as well as their drag performances in New York City, and just some fun little rapid fire questions at the end. If you are one of our foreign listeners and haven't seen Big Sky yet, it is a crime drama, I would say, that takes place in Montana, in Big Sky, Montana. And it begins with the kidnapping of a trans sex worker and two wholesome high school teens. They're trapped in a creepy bunker trailer type situation by a man named Ronald and his evil cop partner or
hmm
state trooper, whatever, potato,
Yes. Which,
potato.
first of all, anytime they're like state trooper, detective, whatever, I'm like, I have no fucking clue what any of this means. I live in
All I know is
America.
like if
I don't know what the difference is.
detectives like important, they're important.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything
But like,
else.
what the fuck is a state
Olivia
trooper?
Benson's a detective. That's why I know it's special. Well, now she's a sergeant, I think. But
That's
anyways,
SVU, right? Or no?
sometimes Hannah, yes, it's SVU. Olivia Benson, come
I
on.
swear, I watch a lot of TV.
Girl, there's 22 seasons of that.
It's too late
Just
for
watch.
me.
No, it's not too late. It's never too late. My
Okay,
friend
but
Chelsea
anyway,
from Canada. Anyways, I'm sorry. Okay,
Chelsea, hi.
yeah, hi. She watches SVU because I told her to. So we're talking at the speed of light because we're so excited. But
Yeah.
Big Sky's a David E. Kelly show. So recently you probably have watched Big Little Lies or The Undoing, both of which were his creations. And I think he does a masterful job of including intricate female characters and really keeping you on your toes. Like this show, the end of every episode, I'm
Every single episode.
a little bit stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
So I highly recommend it. It's got two female private investigators that are searching for the three kidnapped women that are in the trailer. They come into contact with the evil Montana state trooper and other police, and maybe some of them die. I don't know. You just have to
Some
watch, I
people
guess.
sometimes might die.
There are
I don't
things
know.
that happen, but
Mm-hmm.
there's only, at this point when this episode comes out, there will be 8 episodes. So y'all, you binge that in a weekend. I know you do. Just hop on it. It's on Hulu. And yeah, well, I guess I should mention, I think I mentioned this when we interviewed them, but Jesse James Keitel is the first non-binary season regular in a primetime network TV series, which is why this is such a huge interview and why we're so freaking excited that we got to talk to them. Like, this is the coolest thing we have ever done on this podcast. We are so excited to bring this episode to you.
I guess let's get into it.
Yeah.
Flip.
Hi, everybody. We are here with Jesse James Keitel, one of the stars of ABC's Big Sky and the first non-binary series regular in a primetime network television show, which is the coolest thing ever. We wanted to talk a lot about your role and how you decided, to accept the role. I've seen a lot of interviews online where you discuss how you were a little bit hesitant at first because it is a role of a sex worker, and that is something we do tend to see a lot in terms of trans representation on screen. So how did you end up deciding you were going to take the role?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, hi, thank you for having me. Especially early career actor, this is a David E. Kelly show. So getting the opportunity to work with someone as prolific as David E. Kelly was exciting. And that's something I was very, very interested in. Especially it's like ABC, it's a queer character on like a non-queer show. And my agent was like, you get to be like the cool kid and you get to be the cool kid of the group. And that was really exciting for me. I think my hesitation came from, I got a strong sense that the creators, I had an idea of what they wanted, but the words they used in like the character breakdown made me very anxious, because it just didn't feel as nuanced as I would have hoped. I felt a little clunky in that department. And after a couple conversations, after I'd booked the role, that evolved and that changed. And honestly, I think the pandemic was helpful in that respect, because it gave time for the role to kind of change in their eyes as well. And yeah, I don't know if
I
that
love
answered.
that.
I don't know if that answered
No, it
that.
does. So
Yeah.
Hannah and I we talk a lot about representation and queer representation, as well as sort of representing people from every race. And there are so many shows that represent people on the screen, but they don't represent the people in the writer's room. And I think you spoke to that exactly, which is really
Well,
interesting.
and I think people listen, I myself, I am also a writer, and I don't think people should feel restricted to writing about experiences that they've only lived themselves. That being said, when you're dealing with a delicate topic such as race, such as trans identity and violence against trans people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I think there's a level of responsibility that you need to take, that, when you have a trans writer in the writing room or you have a consultant, it shows in the product. And I will say, yes, my role of Jerry Kennedy on Big Sky, I am playing a trans sex worker. However, that's not the entirety of my character. When you first meet her, you meet her as an aspiring musician. Before you know her trans status, before you know her occupation, and she has friends, she has people who care about her. There's a lot of, yes, if you want to make it like very superficial, sure, there are some tropes that the character falls into, but it also breaks a lot of tropes. And for a very large network and for a demographic of people that, I don't think I'm necessarily the target audience for the show. It's on a primetime network TV show that serves a lot of like middle American households. And, that alone, I think, pushes the needle.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask more about your process, like working with David E. Kelley, but we kind of jumped into that already. But were there any like specific moments where you felt like you were really hitting the nail on the head, like you were getting into it with the character?
It's been a very interesting process. Filming during COVID is weird as hell. And it's, the good days are great, the bad days are tough. And I think every emotion, every feeling of accomplishment, every moment of defeat is heightened because of COVID. So I think, we got a pretty massive rewrite on the second episode early in production. And that's when they included my shower scene from the show. And I was so excited. I was like, wow, okay, I get to do something cool, get to be naked in a cow barn. Like, okay, work. And when we filmed that was a whole day thing. I was borderline butt naked. I had like a little piece of tape on basically. And like in the final product, you only saw like my shoulders up. And I was like, okay, guess I didn't need to do all that. But that was a moment where I was like, wow, this is feeling really cool. The whole thing, this is, I don't know if I could swear, but this is fucking wild.
Yeah.
This is my first real experience of this caliber. So it's been a dream come true. I love television. I consume so much television, and it's been my dream to be a series regular on a drama. So yeah. I'm happy to be here.
I think, speaking to the scene you just talked about, your scenes with Ronald or Brian Garrity a lot of them are so emotional or so traumatic or so intense. How did you sort of build the level of trust that's needed to make those scenes happen in a genuine way, but also in kind of a safe way for both of you?
Well, it's funny you ask that, because TV works so fast. At least this show works so fast. There's no rehearsals, really. There's not a whole lot of development time. It's really just, I think we got lucky, and Brian and I have great chemistry. And he's also a brilliant actor and very generous. He gives so much in a scene that every time I get to work with him is truly a dream come true.
I watched some interviews of his because I'm familiar with his work, but not so much familiar with him as a person. And seeing him talk as himself was like so
He's like a
strange.
surfer. He just
Yeah.
like a surfer bro from New Jersey. Now he lives in California. Yeah, it's funny.
It was like, because I told Hannah, I think on this show he reminds me of like a long lost Skarsgård brother because he
Yeah.
gives me like the creepy blonde vibes. But it's incredible to see that switch that he makes for that role. It's just so
Oh, it's so funny too,
intense.
because he's not small and by any means, but he like hunches over too. And so there's this one scene, I think it was the shower scene. I look like a giant next to him. And I'm like, I'm a solid couple inches shorter than him, but he's just like hunched over.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's
I've learned a
awesome.
lot. The actors on the show are all like next level. I mean, between Brian and John Carroll Lynch, and I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, even I worked very closely with Natalie Allen Lind and Jade Pettyjohn, and they are so fun and so generous, and have been doing this since they were like babies. So it's like I studied acting and theater since middle school, high school, and I went to college for it. But working with people who have been working professionally in the industry since they were so young, I don't know, they were like chef's kiss professionals. It's like, it was very fun.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
speaking of them, you're stuck with them for, like the first 5 episodes of the show. You're in that, shipping container or truck or,
Trailer of terror.
Yes. What was it like shooting those scenes and to be in that like constant state of confinement? Like, usually you would get to move around more, change sets more, and you just were kind of stuck.
Honestly, difficult. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
Those days were long. Those days were hard on your body. That was a wood floor. I actually got a concussion in there once.
Oh, wow.
It was rough. It was hard. It was real. When we did fight scenes, when we did all that stuff, it was not very forgiving. And that space, that trailer itself was very difficult to film in because it was so. It's like a little trailer. So how do you get a whole film crew in there? So ABC obviously has a couple dollars, so they the walls all could come apart, the ceiling could be raised up to the heavens, and it was still a set, but it was not an easy feat. The crew really knocked it out of the park filming in there. And like, how do you light a space that's supposed to be dark?
That's what I was wondering.
How do you light that? So that's why something they chose, there's like a very yellowy orange tint to a lot of those scenes, and that was how they showed like nighttime. I personally think it worked great.
Oh, it did. Those scenes are like
Yeah.
horrifying because that's I told it, like Hannah and I talk about, I'm such a true crime like psycho. Like I would 100% be Grace in a trailer situation. Like I know too much about that, but I think that the way that those scenes were shot felt harrowing. Like you felt that fear of just being like left alone. And I loved y'all's chemistry. I think that was probably the best part of
when
those
you guys
scenes.
sing all together.
Oh,
I just like have to stop and take a moment for myself because I love to hear singing anytime really, but that just like all together and knowing the situation that they're in, and it's just stunning.
Yeah, and it's funny too because we recorded all of there's some songs that we recorded that didn't make it to the final product, but like we recorded them like in a studio. There's like all these clean studio versions, and then there's also like us just like singing live, forgetting our parts and like kind of messing up. And it's funny seeing like sometimes the studio version made it in, sometimes us like the fucked up version made it in, and it's like either works, and it's really yeah, I have such a soft spot in my heart for those. But yeah, I'm very it's funny because I'm still in Canada filming the show, so any episodes I have seen have been from my like computer, like from a link that they have. I only just got a VPN too, and so it's fun. I feel like everyone's like tuning in to watch like my web series. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited when I do go back to the States to I want to binge the show and really get a feel for
That's
what it is?
my parents. So my boyfriend and I watched it all the way through, and my boyfriend was not about the first episode. He was like, "I'm not into this. I don't really like it." And then the very final scene happens where Ryan Felipe's axed, and he was like, "Never mind, we got to keep going." And my parents insist that we DVR 2 episodes because they refuse to watch one at a time. So
Oh, that's so funny.
it is a bingeable series.
What's very interesting about this process for me, and I think the pilot's an incredible example. The scripts are longer than what ends up on TV, and I think that's with any show. But like, for example, the pilot was almost 75 pages long, and
Wow.
it was very beautifully and elegantly cut down to 43 minutes. So if you follow the rule of thumb, that's like a minute per page. There's a lot of story that ends up on the cutting room floor, and it's kind of like, all right, kill your darlings. It's
Yeah.
just, you gotta, as we're filming it, you could just kind of go, I'm like, all right, great, I did my job, and if it makes it, it makes it.
We've talked about before, in the age of streaming, so many shows get one season, maybe two, and then all of a sudden you don't get them anymore. And the idea of like, we love a limited series where you like get to really dive into that story and you're going to get that one season. But I'm sure it's hard to know like what you're doing. I might not make it, might make it, and how that affects your like how you show up and do your job.
Yeah, definitely. You can't let it affect your job. But it's funny because I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, damn, that scene got cut. I wouldn't have made that acting choice if I knew that scene wasn't going to be there. Like silly things like that. But it's like, it's we're our worst critic, right? So it's like,
Absolutely.
you're gonna overthink it or overanalyze it. But no, I've learned so much just from working on this and working at a very interesting pace. It's very fast, but there's a lot of story. So when they're focusing on other characters, sometimes you'll have a nice chunk of downtime. And it's like, all right, that's just the nature of it.
No, and I feel like being on a David E. Kelly show has to just be kind of like a dream. We binged The Undoing this summer, obsessed, Big Little Lies, obviously. But I think that this story is definitely a lot more accessible to people who maybe don't tune into those limited series or have HBO or what have you. And that's why I think your role on the show is so interesting and kind of pivotal for network TV. Because I don't think necessarily people who tune in every night to shows on networks are exposed to that kind of diversity or
yeah, and that's I fully agree. And all I could do is show up and do the best job that I can do to the best of my abilities. I was very nervous. I was nervous for a lot of reasons when I first signed up for the show. To sign up like it's a play at school that you could just like join this club. No, when the deal was signed and everything was squared away, I was so excited, and I'm still so excited by it. But I was really nervous because it's not like you're doing how do I say this? It's not an inherently queer show.
Mm.
And it's not for an inherently queer audience. It's not Pose. It's not Euphoria. It's not, it's some of these other shows that are more skewed towards like a younger, queerer demographic. So I was nervous at facing like a lot of conservative backlash personally. And I kind of like before the show aired, I was like, all right, great, we're going to get into therapy, going to get those demons out. We're going to like, just to prepare for that. And believe it or not, the reaction has been the opposite. I've gotten a lot of people messaging me and texting me or DMing me, just saying things like, hey, I want to let you know my 85-year-old queerphobic grandmother is your biggest fan. And you being on the show changed her opinions of trans people, of queer people, of gay people, of whatever. And like, okay, if I exist as a punching bag for people to let out their frustrations to, or as a tool, a springboard for people to have conversations about not me as like an individual, but the idea of me that Jerry Kennedy has brought into their living rooms, then great, so be it. I guess my job is done.
I think in some ways it's like all representation is so important, but I do think that on a show like this, in an environment I mean, hopefully we're moving towards a more tolerant environment now, but the last 4 years we've faced a lot of vitriol against trans people and the LGBTQ community in general. And I grew up in a super conservative family, and I watched the show with my parents, and throughout the whole thing, my mom is like, "No, no, if she dies, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, this is so cool to watch because I think I still think they don't understand it, but when they're given this human and a fully human character, like I think that Jerry's character is very fleshed out. It's not just a character of a trans sex worker. When they're given that ability to empathize and respect someone else as a human being, that's at least a start, even if they don't understand.
That's huge. That's the goal of representation, isn't it? Or at least one of them. And I said this recently. I was like, if me being on TV playing this role can get someone to empathize with a poor trans sex worker from Montana, great. Then hopefully they can use that and empathize with the real life trans people they may or may not interact with, or I think about how Jerry's family kicked her out at 14. That's so real for so many people. And if having Jerry Kennedy in their living rooms says, okay, I can empathize with my queer child, and I'm not going to throw them out on the street because they're like Jerry on Big Sky. Okay, maybe I'll listen to what they have to say. That's amazing. And I think that really is the power of representation.
Right. I think that's so incredible because like I didn't come out to my parents until last year and I was 25, but like I knew for so long, but I was raised in the South in like a Southern Baptist home. And when I came out, they were like, okay, why would we ever, feel negatively about you? But I was like, based on what I've grown up around, like, why would I think that you would have a positive reaction? But to know that like this does hit that audience where maybe there would be, hate or any kind of, negative feeling, to give them that opportunity to kind of like readjust their thought process and say, oh, like this is a normal person. Everybody's just out here being a person and we can all be okay with that.
Well, I'm glad that you had a good experience with that.
That was she told me she was coming out to her parents, and I was like, she came out to me. We both worked at Disney World together, and we were roommates. And she like came out to me in this kind of just like casual way. She's like, "Yeah, I went on a date." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, with who?" She's like, "It was a girl." I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And like when she told me she was coming out to her parents, I was so nervous for her. I was like, I'm waiting to hear. I can't wait. Because I was like outed to my parents. So like I didn't even have a choice. I just like, it just happened. And
That's rough.
it went okay. I mean, things could have been much worse. I live in their basement now, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Great.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. I was, my whole, I mean, don't get me started on the idea of coming out. I could write a manifesto on it. I think it's an abomination that queer people are not just expected to, but like required to.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've stopped. I kind of like a couple of years ago, I was just like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. And when people have questions about it, great. So it was like and especially when coming into the idea of like transitioning, it's like transitioning from what to what. It's like if I I feel like I exist as like more of an idea than reality, and I know that doesn't make sense because I'm like flesh and bone walking through the world. But tangent, what am I saying?
Oh, we love a tangent.
I was also
more than anything.
I was also outed to my family in high school via a death threat in the mail. It was like an anonymous letter addressed to my parents, just like saying like how people were going to beat me up in the hallways and saying all this stuff. And I'm like, I was hands down one of the most popular kids in school. I was a part of every club. If people had a problem with me, I would have known about it.
Mm.
But it's it was from a concerned parent. And it's like
no.
It was crazy. But I've turned that into art. I've since like written things inspired from it. I mean, my family have a great relationship. I talk to both my parents every day. So it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. I really feel for the queer people who have to turn to found family and chosen family over biological, I don't know, whatever words. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think it's also like the whole idea of coming out is just so, again, I could also write like a whole rant about it because I have a boyfriend, so I'm very heterosexual appearing when we go out. And yet I had like a horrible high school experience. I had the biggest, bullying situation in high school when I wasn't even like aware of my own sexuality in high school. And you just think about these formative experiences and I'm like, I can only hope it's gotten better, but I know that it has, but it hasn't. Like it's still this unfortunately almost universal queer experience that you face, like this nervous wall of energy that forces you to come out to people that you love when it doesn't change who you are really at all.
Yeah. I've been thinking recently about I'm developing some projects of my own that everything I do will inherently be queer.
Mm.
But obviously I want to do more storytelling from specifically a trans perspective, but a queer perspective. And I was like, wow, imagine prom. I don't know about you guys, but like, I went to a lot of proms and they were all like either proms of friends or I took my friends. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine going to prom as who you wanted to be with who you wanted to be with. And I'm like, I don't know. I can point to a trans person, point to a gay person, point to a queer person. And I guarantee you they all have, not all, the overwhelming majority of them have this like ache, like a heartache for like public celebration of, I don't know, what would you call a prom? Like public, I don't know, just being able to be themselves in a public amongst their peers
It's
like
almost
as
like
a kid.
we did just have an episode about Bridgerton, so I'm very on like the whole ball thing, but that's like the only equivalent we have today of like balls where you get to come out and like be around everybody. And Hannah and I actually had an episode about how much we hated our proms.
Aw.
We both had the same experience when we went with friends, impeccable, wonderful, so much fun.
Yeah.
When we went with like straight white men, not the best. But that is just such a collectively weird experience, and you're supposed to experience it so young, and it's such a big deal when you go to prom.
Well, and you get to see everybody else having such a seemingly great time, even though I would argue that like really no one has a good time at prom. Like it's just not, why do we have prom? But you see everybody around you and you think like, why does this suck for me? And then you're like, oh,
why am I the weird one?
Got it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. And prom exists so we can make movies about it.
Truly. And some really bad ones recently. But
I actually like really enjoyed prom. I don't know. It's just like I'm such a snob too. And I was just like, wow, this is just like easy. It's just like dumb. It's easy. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, great. It's like musical theater. Great. Love.
I liked all of it except for like some of the musical numbers. It was like big throughout. Like I didn't feel like we like grew to the end. So I was just like stressed out about
I'll agree with that. I'll totally agree with that.
It was just like big the whole time, which was, I mean, Nicole Kidman looked so good. It was kind of stressed me out.
Yeah.
But it was gorgeous. It was just a lot for 2 hours and 2.5 hours or whatever it was. Hannah and I were going to do an episode about it. We never did, but
and then we were like, you know what?
We don't have enough to say about that.
We're okay. Right. Like I didn't hate it so much, but I was like, that
was like Happiest Season. I don't know if you watched that.
God.
See, you know what? It's funny. I guess I've just like turned a new leaf. Happiest Season. I am pro Happiest Season.
Okay. I'm
overall
neutral.
Yeah.
I am pro Happy Season because no, it's not a perfect movie, but you know what? Look at all the shitty holiday movies we grew up watching with like,
oh my God,
cis couples, and it's like, you know what? Fuck that. I would rather have a mediocre queer love story around the holidays than a great straight one. I don't care. I'm gonna say it. Like,
right.
I believe it was Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman who said,
I know what quote you're gonna say.
And I'm gonna butcher the quote, so I don't even want to say it, but it's like, like we need
cheesiness. Like she says, like we need to be cheesy. Like we need to have those moments.
Well, there may be someone who said about her, but it was like, why can't we don't give women the same opportunity to fail that we give men the opportunity to fail. Because like if there was 1,000 horrible action movies directed by cis straight men, it doesn't matter. They're not going to say, oh, cis straight men can't direct.
Exactly.
If a woman had like a terrible action movie, they'd be like, well, that's because she's a woman. And it's like, and I feel the same way about Happiest Season, where it's like people gave it so much shit, but okay, how many other like queer focused with a queer lead holiday romances can you point to? Not a lot. I can't name any other. I'm sure they exist, but like I want to see more of that, more of them.
Oh,
like,
me too.
So Happy Season.
Happy Season's just the starting point. Like
yes,
even though it's not perfect, and like
yeah,
you know, I personally hate a coming out narrative. But
same. That's the only that's what Hannah and I talked about that as well. And but I'm such a like sucker for the Hallmark crap around Christmas because it's all the same. You know what's going to happen, and it feels great to just be comfortable for a minute. And with Happiest Season, there were like so many little things that I wish had happened. Because I would have loved to see the one thing that is like grinds my gears forever, and this is a tangent, but that's our brand, so it's fine. Her ex-boyfriend that they encounter, who's the lifeguard from Aquamarine, Jake McDormand. There's his name.
I like that you chose that specific reference.
Aquamarine. Oh, well, that's like what I go to. That was my childhood, like I wanted to be a mermaid thing. But I would have loved for him to find out that she was gay and for him to support her because I had that experience on my end. And I think it's such a pure experience to have a straight guy who you used to date support you that way. And I was like, I want that. I was like, I guess I'll write it myself.
Yeah. And you know what? That's what I've been saying to people. I'm like, if you saw an area of opportunity, please fill the gaps.
Exactly.
Like, I feel that because I'm like, obviously queer people aren't given a lot of the same opportunities. I don't know. I want so many more queer filmmakers. I want so many more like it adds an interesting perspective. And I love Big Sky. I love the writers of Big Sky, but I would be lying if I said I think Jerry's story would be more. I feel like Jesse, the individual watching it, who can relate to the story, it would resonate more with me if there was like a trans writer on the show.
Yeah.
That being said, I think they do a great job, and I'm very proud of it. And I'll fight anyone who wants to fight me on that.
Yeah. No, I'm so happy we went on a tangent. It's our favorite thing to do.
Well, in terms of Big Sky, so this will come out the day after like next week's episode. So we're like kind of, speaking into the future, and we don't know what's happening.
The day after,
anything...
so like this upcoming Wednesday or the Wednesday after? Okay.
This upcoming Wednesday, yeah.
Great.
So is there anything that like this season that you're excited about in specific, like for the kind of end of the season, or
that you can tell us?
Well, yeah, every episode kind of just ends on such a crazy note that like, how could you even expect anything?
I will say, get ready, buckle up. The next 2 episodes, so this upcoming one and the one after, 8 and 9, are
great,
batshit.
Oh God,
incredible!
They are batshit crazy. It is like they've become full-on action movies, and I'm very excited to see them.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I feel like we got a little tease this last week with Jerry and the note and the,
Oh God, that was so scary.
Yes. And I'm just like, oof. And it ended on them going to the house and Ronald's there and we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, I will say the writers are masters of their craft, and they do a good job of keeping you on your toes. And,
for sure.
This is a 16 episode season. So we are, after this upcoming episode, we're only halfway there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. Because it's like the good old days back when network shows were like 22 episodes a season, which is insanity. And
it's crazy because there's shows that still do that.
I know,
that is a lot, especially for a network drama, like an hour-long drama. Like that is a lot of television.
Yeah, like because I think probably one of my favorite network shows of all time was Lost, which was also on ABC. And
were those 24 episodes, I think?
Yeah. That was a lot. And I'm like, I mean, they all got to live in Hawaii and shoot that. I'm like, that would have been the dream. But they were such long seasons, and I love that feeling of waiting each week for the next episode. I always talk to Hannah about that. That's like the worst and best pain, is like waiting for your favorite show to come back on.
It's the best and the worst. I experienced that watching Mrs. America over the summer. I
Oh
was
my
Yeah.
like,
God,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, I can't. I was like, oh, I can't wait until the next one. I can't wait. Because I think that one came out. I think the first 2 episodes of that one came out at the same time. So
Mhm.
I was like in that binging mode,
Yeah.
and then like, nope, nope, you gotta wait.
I hate
Yeah.
that. That's like Handmaid's Tale. They did like they released like 3 last season, and you just power through all of them, and then you can't watch anymore, and you're like, I just realized that I'm totally addicted to binging. But
Yeah, we just, how we digest television has just simply changed.
absolutely, it's insane. Well, I guess we should talk about your drag, so we're not here for like 100 hours. You perform in drag under the stage name Peroxide. How did you get into that, and how has that helped you sort of find yourself or your self-identity?
Long story short, my friends and I went to college for acting, graduated, and felt very disillusioned by it. Felt kind of like an outcast. And I think that's partly because I was trying to live up to this idea that actors needed to be and present and exist a certain way in order to be successful. So I think I like castrated any like real self-expression I was exploring, especially in terms of like gender and everything. I feel like I nixed that like real quick, real young. And so then I was like out in the real world, struggle busting as we do. And me and my friends always were fans of drag, and we were like, fuck it, let's go. So we just got dressed up one night, went to a big person in nightlife. Her name is Lady Fag. She throws this party. It was a monthly party called Holy Mountain. And we got dressed up, showed up, and like my first ever like look was completely duct taped to my body. And it was like
God.
really cute. It was like this like bodysuit with these antlers, and I was just like this like deer thing, and it was so liberating. And that just
Yeah.
like us as a group, we formed a little drag collective, and that when acting and performing in like TV and film industry and theater, when that wasn't satisfying, we had this other artistic endeavor to invest our time and like efforts in. And oh my God, drag saved my life. I would consider myself retired at the moment. I don't expect I'll be doing any more like drag bookings. I'm eager to do it again in the future. It definitely it shaped my career as an actor. And I don't know how to explain that other than like it gave me so much confidence in my everyday life that it's like, I was in the film Alex Strangelove on Netflix, and I showed up to that audition just basically in a full face of makeup. And it wasn't just like la 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 eyeshadow. It's like blocked out my eyebrows, did like some crazy thing inspired by a friend of mine's makeup, and I booked it. And then I was hired to do my own makeup, and then I was hired to do my own makeup on the TV show Younger. And then they used an outfit of mine for my costume on the show. It's like they could just like went through my Instagram and like things like that. And it's like, I was really able to form my own identity as a person, a performer, an actor, etc. Because drag is so limitless. I
Yeah.
never did like female illusion, or like I was never like a drag king or anything like that either. It was always experimental, and within this like limitless boundary that we created for ourselves, it gave me, when you're going at 1,000% at night, it gave me permission to like be a little more adventurous and daring in the daytime with my own style and expression and creativity and yada 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 yada. So drag is amazing. I encourage everyone to do it. I encourage everyone to do it. Like it takes so much to create a look, get dressed up, go out in public, and you learn a lot about yourself when you're put in an uncomfortable situation. And nothing's more uncomfortable than drag. Oh my God.
No, that's like
Yeah.
I was introduced to drag in college by my roommate Rose, and she was like super into RuPaul, and I had never watched an episode, and I got into it with her, and I've always loved makeup and just self-expression, and so I'm really into a lot of like the weirder queens. But for my birthday, she bought us tickets to Painted by Fame when Katya was her model, and that like 6 hours sitting there watching Katya get painted was like so incredible, and talking about modeling and self-expression and the different types of drag. I was just like mystified by how expansive that community and that art form is, and I've had such an appreciation for it ever since, and helped put on events with drag queens, and it's just otherworldly, I would say, and it's so cool.
Yeah, I resonate a lot with Miss Fame. I know her from New York,
Yeah.
but I always, I was like, Drag Race like season 7 was like the height of me being like, oh my god, I'm a fangirl. I love Drag Race. And then I started doing drag, and it was very different seeing like all my friends and my peers get on the show. And then I lived in the East Village, and Miss Fame went to the same dog park I did. So we would always run into each other with like our dogs. But then, she's also very like gender queer, and she doesn't really consider her drag to be like drag anymore. It's like just an extension of herself. And that's always something that I felt the same way. And it's like, even though like what I did was like kind of like a little more grotesque, definitely way not as polished as Miss Fame, but definitely just it always felt just like an extension of myself. And I had
Yeah.
someone ask me why do you need that to put makeup on? It's like a mask. It's like, why do you need that to be yourself? And I was like, you don't get it. It's not a mask. It's like a megaphone from the soul. It's like, there's nothing more informative of like who you are than like how you let yourself be perceived. I don't know how to word that more elegantly, but like, yeah, there's something so like daring about just like risking so much. And like, I don't know. I show like, if you've seen my like drag Instagram, yeah,
I
like
have.
I often don't like wear a lot of clothes, and walking around New York City being like with your entire backside out and like a lot of your front side, and like looking like a scary little alien wearing like 10-inch shoes. It's like, I don't know. I can talk forever about it. You learn a lot about yourself.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Are you watching this season of RuPaul at all?
I'm currently live watching Drag Race in the US and Drag Race UK at the
Okay,
same time.
love that.
Yeah,
I have not ventured into UK as of yet because I am such a binger, so I'm waiting a little bit.
it
But
it is excellent.
okay, that's what all my friends are like. Just start. It's so good.
It's so funny. My parents asked me, they're like, "Oh, you watching the game on Sunday?" I was like, "What
No.
game?"
Right. Right.
And they're like, the Super Bowl. I was like, "Oh, that's Sunday." I was like, "I have no, not at
No.
all.
No.
No, I'm already watching my sport."
Yeah. No. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite queen on the US one from this season?
So Candy Muse, I believe she started the same time I started drag in New York,
Okay.
and I believe it was her first competition. But my first competition was against her at
Okay.
Dragnet at Metropolitan in Brooklyn. And this was back when she was still like a bearded queen.
Wow.
And it's like, it's watching her, it's just really exciting. So I'm like, oh, like, you go, bitch, like, go off. Like, hell yeah, that's so cool. I resonate a lot with Gottmik. Like, good God, I want Gottmik to just do everything. But I think my top queen would have to be Simone.
Okay. I love Gottmik. I love Simone. I am a Minnesota girl, so Utica is like has a
Utica's
little
stepping it up for me. She's creeping up there. She's very
she has a little bit of my
talented.
heart. She came and did a we had a event, and I live in a pretty small town that's kind of like the only thing to compare it to is like Stars Hollow and Gilmore Girls, where it's adorable and cute, and we have all these weird events. And we had something called Puppies and Pumps, which was a drag show with all these adoptable puppies. And yeah, it was to die for. And she did this Little Mermaid runway performance, and after that I've always been like just obsessed. So
I love that idea. I'm gonna steal that.
isn't that
That's such a
fun?
good idea. Not the mermaid thing. That's great too. But the puppies. That's
Right.
what a good event to get like dogs adopted. That's so cute.
Oh my god, it was incredible. And like it was a very strange demographic because it was a lot of people who were part of the drag community in the Twin Cities and Minneapolis, and then a lot of people who were just from this small town that wanted to come see the dogs. And I think it exposed a lot of people to drag and in a really cool
So
way.
fun.
And all these almost all of them got adopted that night, if not later that week. So it was awesome. And people paid for
Go to
like
Utica.
their little like adoption fees or whatever. So you could donate and cover the dog's adoption fee. So whoever wanted them could take them home. It was really fun. Yeah. So this season, honestly though, the season of the US, I have to start UK, but the season of US has just been so fun so far.
The thing with UK is they don't win money on that. It's
Oh,
because it's
okay.
BBC. It's just different. The stakes are different. So it's like the queens approach it differently, and they're all so much. I mean, this is a gross generalization, but
Okay.
they're definitely much more. They're not as like not polished out of drag. I don't know how to say this without being mean. A lot of them are kind of like Toad-like,
Okay.
and and so it's just like it's different. They're like funny and they're all really good, and it feels like a much less overproduced show in
Okay.
the UK right now.
Then I'll love it. And I love anything British. Like my boyfriend and I went through Love Island this summer, or some of Love Island, because that's an undertaking. But we tried to watch the US version and I'm like, this is only fun because they have fun accents. So any British reality TV is perfect. Oh, Hannah,
Oh,
I'll send it over to you.
we have some like quick fire questions to wrap up, but we have like one
All
last
right, let's do
actual
it.
question. If you have any advice, or what advice would you like to give to any like young queer creatives who just kind of feel like maybe they don't know what step to take or how to even, jump in the deep end on any of this?
I would say I can only speak from my own experience, and the hardest part every single step of the way was staying true to myself and with what goals I wanted, not just for my career, but what goals I wanted for my life. And it took me, I think I found a lot of success and happiness after I stopped listening to other people and did what was best for me. I kind of had like a little bit of a breakdown, flew to California, dyed my hair pink, but there was something in that. I was like, I did that because I wanted to. And I wanted to do that since I was like 10 and had never allowed myself the freedom to do so. I faced a lot of resistance from professionals, from, my reps at the time, from casting directors, from people who told me that would limit me. But it was the specificity of me that while I was, yes, potentially right for less roles, being true to myself made me better for those fewer roles. I don't know how to say it other than that, but I mean, look, as an actor, it's yes, you get paid to be other people, and you get paid to show up and audition and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you have to wake up and go to bed as yourself. You have to, I would say, to aspiring queer creatives, take care of yourself and set boundaries for who you are, what you need, how people can refer to you, and the respect that you demand as a person. And I think that ultimately will reflect onto your work.
That was so lovely.
Thanks, Hannah.
Okay, so our quick fire questions. Are there any queer or non-binary creators that you would like to shout out real quick that we should be like paying attention to?
Yes, my writing partner, Davi Armanino. They are amazing. The two of us are collaborating on some really amazing projects that you will all see one day. So Davi Armanino, look them up.
What is on your DVR watch list? Like, what are you excited to watch next or currently watching?
It's funny, filming, I have zero mental capacity to watch anything I normally love. So I'm watching HGTV, Bargain Mansions on HGTV, 10 out of 10, love it.
Love that.
What's your like go-to song on your like getting ready, going out playlist?
Right now, anything Miley's new album, Plastic Hearts, stream it on iTunes.
I said that was my favorite album of 2020, believe it or not.
So good. I have such like a soul connection to Miley Cyrus. God damn, I love her so much. I feel like I've grown up with her. I love her so much.
Yes, yeah.
Truly,
Yeah.
like it's just unbelievable. And I'm the biggest Taylor Swift stan. So the fact she released 2 albums this year and I was still like, it's Miley's for me. That's
it. That's it.
Sorry, like it's got to be that one.
I feel like with the evolution of her career was also like symbolic of the evolution of like my life and my career. It's yeah, Miley.
Yeah.
And then last question, what is your like go-to set snack?
Oh, apples and peanut butter.
Ooh.
All day, every day. It's
Yes.
so it's like healthy and fresh and clean, and also just delicious. Either that, and also, oh my God, I eat like a donut a day.
Oh,
A
so
jelly
good.
donut, so
Ooh,
good. And it's funny, I hated jelly donuts my whole life, and then I became an actor, and I can't stop eating them.
Now you're like
yeah,
only
I'm.
jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. Apples and peanut butter was like my favorite snack as a kid. With
Still,
raisins on
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I was never in the raisin camp.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know
but I know
why.
because people say that about celery and peanut butter with raisins, like ants
Oh,
on a
the ants
log.
on a log. Yeah.
Never heard of it. Never heard of her. I don't know her.
I was gonna say that I
Oh
feel like
my
that's very
God.
Midwestern of a
Maybe it
snack to
is. I'm
have.
sure it probably is.
Yeah,
That's like fried
Yeah.
cheese.
like mozzarella sticks.
No, cheese
No.
curds. It's like in the cheese making process, there's like byproducts of cheese that are like these weird little round shapes of cheese. And here in the Mecca that is the Midwest, we throw them in a deep fryer and serve them with ranch. And so it's like beer batter on the outside. It's not like breading.
That
It's,
sounds delicious, though.
oh my God,
I
it's
think
evil.
I haven't. Any Canadians listening are gonna slap my wrist, but I haven't had poutine yet
Oh,
here. But I'm pretty positive that's covered in cheese curds.
it
Mhm.
is.
It's
It's,
like cheese curds and gravy on French
and
fries.
fries. Yeah. And they do like, so I went to college in Vermont and we were about like 45 minutes away from the border. And in college, when you were under 21, you're like on the weekend, you would just go on up to Canada.
Drive on up.
Yeah. And poutine there, like the different kinds, because it's just supposed to be like gravy, cheese curds, fries. The way they've made that like a whole food group is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I've really done myself a disservice by not diving into it yet, but
oh my
I'll do it
God.
before I go.
Yeah, good. It's like it got to be on your Canada bucket list, I feel like.
Honestly, my Canadian bucket list, I would say first and foremost, is just like keep hiking. The
Yeah.
hikes here, oh my God. Like, I know a lot of LA actors complain about Vancouver because it's like just like wet and damp and kind of dark.
Hmm.
But like spring to summer and like early fall, oh my God, just like perfect weather, like perfect like, mid 70s weather.
Oh
And
yeah.
like crisp air. It's a rainforest here, so like it rains
Yeah.
every day, but it's breathtaking.
I mean,
I
even
get
just like the shots on Big Sky, it looks incredible. And I think they film Virgin River, which is such a cheesy Netflix show that I do watch. But the scenery, I'm just like, all I want to do is go on like a backpacking tour of Canada, which I never thought I would say, but
honestly agreed. Same. I hope I get to come back here again in the future when it's like
normal-ish.
full weather. Yeah, normal weather, not normal, normal weather for one. Yes, but like not COVID.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
be gone.
I know. I'm just like, I just want to do something all I really want to do is sit by myself at like a wine bar and just be around people I don't know and not think about it.
The dream, and not
Yeah.
have to have that thing like lingering in the back of your head.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
It's here. They're like, I mean, as an American, as a proud American, we gone done fucked up,
Oh
and
yeah.
Mhm.
our cases are insane. Canada has like 2 cases, but everyone still takes it really seriously. More than two.
That's,
I know they have more than two, but I don't know how many cases they have. Not a lot compared to us.
oh no.
Yeah.
We're out here just like trying to win a game you don't want to win.
I don't
Yeah.
know if we're trying to win. I feel like we're just like, all right, let's see
We
what
just gave up.
happens.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah,
it's so stressful. I'm like, I can't wait for this to be like, I just can't even wait to get vaccinated. That's all I want in my life.
same. Like,
Yeah.
sign me up.
I know I'll
But
pass
also,
out, but it's fine.
yeah, it's going to be so. I'm sure there are experts who are more educated in the topic talking about this, but it's going to be so weird in a couple years to like unpack the trauma from
Oh,
all of this.
I
yeah.
already
Like,
have stress
I
dreams about forgetting my mask.
yeah, like I am really curious to see how, yes, how this affects art, how this affects nightlife, how this affects like the restaurant industry, et cetera, but how this affects us in like a decade. Especially like my sister, she's 21, just fresh out of college
Mhm.
with like zero real job prospects because like
Yeah.
Right.
everything, like same thing, people who are just like a little bit older than me when from like the housing crash
Mm.
way back when. But it's like, what a weird time to like be like, hey, I'm an adult now.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hannah and I are both like, we relate to that. I'm 26, but I was in Atlanta working on film sets and in the restaurant industry when COVID hit, and I was supposed to move to Florida, and my parents called and they were like, so maybe you should just like come here for like a month or two. You can bring your boyfriend and your two cats. And now we have a house of like 5 cats and my boyfriend and my parents and my dog, and it's just like, I need to get out of here. But that's why I have this podcast to keep me sane, and shows like Big Sky to entertain me.
Yeah, we originally we were filming this in New Mexico originally.
Oh, okay.
So back in March, I booked this March 6th. It was a Friday.
Oh
all
boy.
of my friends were over. Like my friend got it on camera. It was really cute. We were on my way to his show, and it was so surreal. I was booked it a Friday, was in New Mexico Sunday to film, and by that Friday we were shut down. And I was back on a plane, unemployed. I'd already like quit my day job,
Oh my God.
And then production moved to Vancouver, and here we are.
Oh my God. That is, yeah, the world is just, I don't know what's going on, but never a dull moment, I suppose.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Right? Can't wait to tell my grandkids about this.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I feel like we could keep talking forever, but do people want to hear us talk forever? I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much
Thank you for
coming on. This
having
has been so much fun.
This has been a literal dream.
Yes.
Well, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear it. Excited for whatever you guys have coming up next.
Thank you. I'm just like so thrilled. I can't even articulate. Like, we were watching
Big Sky.
Big
The
Sky.
text that she sent me the other night.
It was so aggressive. I was so excited, and I was just like, what do we do? I was like, okay, I guess we have to figure something out. And I was like in the room with my parents.
Screaming into the void were used.
Yes, that is what I said. I'm so happy you could come. And I can't wait to keep watching Big Sky, even though it is sending my anxiety through the roof. I just need to know what's going on.
I'm sorry, but that is not going to be solved anytime soon.
Good. It keeps me going.
It's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Okay. Well, I'm excited.
And if you're listening, do not forget to watch Big Sky Tuesdays, 10 p.m. Eastern time.
And Wednesdays.
Yeah, and on Hulu. Catch up.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Truly. Thank you so much for coming. This was so much fun.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Have so much
Until
fun
next
filming.
time.
Until next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I was rolling over my purse. Sorry.
That's okay. We're done as usual. This is I feel like we ended cohesively with Jesse James, but we do have exciting.
We'll never know.
I don't know. We'll know when I listen to this. God only knows what happened there. I blacked out for part of it and I was just so entranced by them. So what was I going to say? Oh, so this is our first like celebrity interview. So exciting, so amazing. But next week for you guys, we will have our official website will be up, and we will have our official Patreon as well, so you can support us and get a lot of extra content on our Patreon. We're going to have our videos and shout outs and little like studio, quote unquote, studio tours, because our studios are
my bedroom,
my basement, but you'll love it. It'll be fun. And we can't wait to see you there. Keep listening.
Follow us on everything. Girls on Film Pod. No dot.
No dot anymore, guys. We got rid of that dot. All right. Well,
that dot.
It's been so fun. Will Hannah and I ever recover?
Stare at a wall for a few hours and just let this feeling wear off.
I'm going to go eat spaghetti and meatballs because that's what Mama Gay is making for us, and finish up one more episode of RuPaul to catch up. And wow, what a day today was, guys. Gals, theys, people of all gender identities. We are so excited. We're never going to recover from this, basically, and I'm horrified that.
What the fuck are we even supposed to talk about next week?
I don't know. Well, first of all, are we ever going to say anything as articulate as Jesse just said? No. So this is the end of our podcast. No, I'm kidding. Yep. We're never doing this again.
We're going off on a high note.
We peaked. But anyways, we're really excited. We're so happy you guys listened. Come back next week and see what we do.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.